Well, hello. It's Catherine Langman here, and I want to welcome you back again to the Productpreneur Success podcast. Now, I am recording this. I have just returned from the Gold Coast. I was away for, some of you know, for the National Swimming Championships with my boys, and I don't know, I thought that it would be a little bit of a holiday. I thought I'd be able to kind of relax by the pool a little bit. But, in the end, it was a fairly intense week, logistically and emotionally as well, for me as well as the boys. Anyway, so yeah, I kind of missed out on any opportunities to catch up with anyone while I was up there. And I know a few of you live up there, so I was a bit disappointed about that. But anyway, I'm not here to give you a blow-by-blow account of how the competition went, so don't worry about that. In actual fact, today I want to talk about the things that you can do to help if you are experiencing a sales slump in your business, because I have seen a few of you are struggling with a bit of a downturn right now. And I certainly know from experience that when that happens, there's always the fear at the back of your mind that, this is it. This is as good as it's going to get, and things might not get any better. And, there's a bit of doom and gloom going on sometimes. So today on the show, I really want to share a number of practical actions that you can take right now to help you through or past any kind of sales slump that you might be experiencing, or just to get back on track with growth if your revenue might be stagnating rather than declining. And I will say, I'm not going to be able to help it today. I am going to compare a few things today with the elite swimmers in competition, because honestly, there are so many similarities between high performance in sport and in business. But also, of course, in relating to business to sport today, I am going to be talking about my kids. And I know so many of you listeners are also parents, and it's kind of a normal thing, a common thing, I think, for us parents. We'll often speak way more kindly and encouragingly to our kids than we do to ourselves. And, being an ambitious entrepreneur, we all often end up being a fairly unforgiving, hard taskmaster to ourselves. Hands up if you're like that. I know I've been like that in the past as well. But, it really doesn't help when things aren't going to plan. So that being said, I promise I'm not going to tell you you're all doing a great job, or any kind of platitudes like that just to try and make you feel better. I don't know if you talk to your kids like that. Sometimes I do. But anyway, so I'm not going to say that to you, particularly if you really do know that things are nowhere near where they could be or where you want them to be. I totally tried that on with one of my sons last week, and he said he doesn't want to hear anyone tell him he's done a good job when he knows he's messed up in a few aspects of his races and he didn't achieve some of the results that he knows that he's capable of. So I won't do that to you. So anyway, we will go through some practical tips and steps that you can take. So let's dive in. And the first thing that I really want to go through is that if you are experiencing a downturn or just like a plateau in your revenue right now, the first thing you need to do is to try not to panic or let the situation get the better of you in terms of your confidence or your emotions, which I know is easier said than done. We all put in a huge amount of time and effort into our businesses. So it can feel pretty discouraging at times when things aren't going the way that we want or expect, whether it's a sales drop or maybe the results from a marketing campaign that you ran just weren't what you expected. So, totally get it that it can feel pretty demoralizing at times. But the reality is, though, if we allow ourselves to succumb to any kind of, fear of failure or feelings of doom and gloom, like it's not going to work out, if we succumb to those emotions or focus on all those negatives, then we end up being a little bit blind to the actions that'll actually help us. I see it time and time again, really, business owners who are operating from a position of fear or panic. They end up making knee-jerk decisions about their marketing activities, and they start to go down the route of deep discounting or sending promotion after incentive after sale event out to their email list and on their socials. And this notion that you just got to sell, right? Just going straight for the buy now type messaging. And I get it, right? Like, you want to take the shortest route from from content to sale. You might end up having one such sale promotion work really well in terms of generating revenue in the short term, but often it doesn't generate the kind of results that you'd like, particularly if that's the only solution that you're reaching for over and over again. And why is this? So there's two things that are really happening here. And the first is actually mindset related, because the more that we focus on what we don't have, or the more that we focus on the crap results that we're getting, or the result, we're getting results we don't want, the more we actually get the same outcome, which sounds a little bit woo-woo, but there is actually a lot of evidence to support visualization as an effective way to get results. High performers in sport do this, as well as, entrepreneurs use this in business as well. So if you spend all of your time focusing on bad outcomes, then unfortunately, you're just actually helping yourself to get more of that. Not cool, huh? And, I know that it sounds a little bit like, how's that going to help me, right? But we'll go there, don't worry. My second son was actually confronted with this right at the beginning of the competition last week, and he fluffed his first race a bit, and he was quite disappointed that he didn't get the improvements that he was expecting and anticipating after the training work that he'd put in. So with swimmers, they'll have their coach sets their training programs, and they do a whole lot of work, but they also do race prep, and they're doing their time trials and stuff like that. So he had been swimming a lot faster in training than he had managed to do in the race. Honestly, I think part of it is that my second son is he's kind of average height for a guy, 16, and a lot of the guys of his age group that are swimming, they're enormous. So it's quite intimidating. But anyway, because that was his reaction after his first race, it was really a bit of a fight for him to maintain or to get back to a positive mindset for the rest of his events. So one thing I ended up teaching him that afternoon was what's called the 3 screens visualization technique, which you can do a whole course in this stuff. I'll try and give you a little bit of a summary of it, but it's a meditation technique or a visualization technique where you do it with your eyes closed. You're kind of looking a little bit up. You're imagining a big, like a movie cinema screen type thing in front of you. And what you want to be seeing on, basically we're doing 3 different visualizations at once on 3 screens. I mean, that makes sense from the name of it. And so on the first screen, you really want to be thinking about and visualizing exactly what the current scenario is, and really try and make it as vibrant in your imagination as you possibly can. And then you want to move in your mind's eye to the left a little bit and imagine a second screen. And then you want to be imagining and visualizing in as much detail and vibrant color as you can the steps that you want or know that you need to take to move forward. And then again, moving to the left again to a third screen, and you're really visualizing the exact outcome that you want. Now, with my son, with his swimming, obviously the ultimate outcome that he wants is to win a race, right? That's not really how it works, though. So for him, the outcome needed to be really in visualizing every element of the race just going perfectly. So imagining him going through the motions of standing on the blocks and executing the perfect dive and the perfect underwaters and the perfect breakout and swimming the perfect length of, time down the length of the pool, and then the perfect turn or the perfect finish. So really seeing exactly how he wanted things to unfold, if that makes sense. And then the other thing that I really emphasize a lot, I think my kids probably get a bit sick of me, but I always make a point of getting them to first look at the gains before they look at all the stuff that they want to criticize or be critical about. And so if their times weren't faster than their personal best, which did happen a couple of times, what other wins could they find? Had they improved their position in the national rankings, or, what else could they learn from the race? There were always parts that went well, so they needed to look at that first. And I have spoken about this sort of thing on the podcast before, about the importance of looking for the wins first before you look for the areas that need improving. And I don't ever want to call them mistakes, because, that really just increases your fear of failure, and, that stops us from trying and testing things out, which is just not helpful at all. Now, even if nothing is better, if your revenue and other performance metrics are all down compared to the same time last year, I can guarantee you there are always learnings that you can take from the things that you've worked on. If you can't think of any, then you're just not looking hard enough. You can always find good learnings from the strategies that you've implemented, and you can look for what was a really good outcome from an email that you sent. Was it an open rate or a click-through rate? Or, did you have really fantastic engagement on that particular post on social media or in a Facebook group if you have a private Facebook group? I mean, there's always something that you can eyeball as a win or a learning, and you need to do that first. Because by focusing on the wins and gains first, you're actually training your brain to feel good and positive and successful about your progress. We want to feel successful at all times through our journey, not just when we get to the end, right? And you're also training your brain to keep visualizing your next best steps that will take you closer to your goal, which is incredibly important. So the second reason that reaching constantly for sales and discounts to try and get past a sales slump that just doesn't usually work as well as you'd like, not over time anyway, is because you end up burning out your existing audience. So this is a very practical reality here. I do see so many business owners who stop doing the kind of marketing or advertising that brings new people into their audience. So they stop doing these things when there's a sales slump and times feel a little bit tight or tough. And they stop doing the kind of marketing that educates or inspires people to want your products. And instead, they're just sending out discounts, which is, it's basically a discount is a tactic that works when customers already know they want what you sell and are ready to buy. They just need maybe that gentle nudge to get them over the line. So I'm not saying that discounts have no place. Of course they do. But if you send out too many sale promos to your existing audience on email and socials or wherever you communicate with them, without doing the visibility building or demand generation type of marketing, then you eventually run out of buyers. And you also train your customers into just holding off to expect a discount. So you end up in this vicious cycle where your existing customers are waiting to repurchase when there's an offer, and there aren't enough new customers coming in to help you grow. And so if you keep doing that kind of stuff right now, if you are in a bit of a downturn or your revenue has plateaued, you are going to set yourself up for a much harder end of year when things really generally start to be pumping with, fourth quarter. So the right thing to do in this scenario is a little bit counterintuitive. You need to sort of hold back off too many buy now messages, and you need to do more brand building and visibility increasing activities to tip more people into the top of the funnel. So basically, you want to have more irons in the fire. You want to have more tickets in the lottery, or whatever analogy works for you there. And then you need to double down on sharing the kind of content that inspires your audience, that educates and entertains them, and that helps build desire for your products because they can see how useful or relevant it is to their own life. To give you an example there, I recently saw one of my favorite Aussie e-commerce success stories, Bird's Nest. In fact, this was probably me when I was sitting poolside waiting in between races and feeling a bit bored in the moment last week. But they were doing a Facebook Live where I'm fairly sure it was the business owner and a few of her team. They were modeling various styled outfits and just talking about the outfits, things like how the items of clothing suited or fitted on their body shape and size, and how they were layering items together for, it's changing weather. So, it might be cool in the morning and evening and warm in the middle of the day. They were talking about how they were pairing up different items of clothing to maybe pull together the outfits, or how they could change the outfits up. It's always good to be able to mix and match, or how they might be able to take an outfit from day to night. So, it was really, really cool. And it wasn't salesy, but it actually made me really think, I'd like to get that. Another example that I've seen recently is a dog harness brand that apparently stops dogs from pulling on the leash, when you're taking the dog for a walk. And the content that caught my eye, it wasn't a still image ad, or it wasn't an ad with a discount. It was a video showing a puppy parent being taken out for a walk by their energetic puppy and basically having their arm pulled out of its socket, which is literally my reality every evening. And then, of course, showcasing their product and explaining really and showing in the video how the product's harness helps stop that painful behavior. And, so I definitely need one of those, along with something that might stop my puppy jumping on the kitchen bench. My goodness, he did that last night. And I turned around from the dinner table and he's up there licking the mixing bowl. He's so naughty. Anyway, have a think about what your customers are doing or experiencing right now. What problems are they experiencing? What situations or scenarios are they living through right now? And show your products being used in familiar situations. They might not buy right now. It might not be the right moment to buy. For example, many of you sell products for parents and kids, and it's been Easter, it's school holidays, there's another long weekend coming up. A lot of people are away. They might not be buying because they're busy doing all of that other stuff right now. Can guarantee you, though, a lot of them will be procrastinating and spending a little bit of time on social media just to distract themselves and entertain themselves. So this kind of content works so perfectly to bring people into your audience at that time. So what I'm talking about here is a bit of a two-step process, getting more potential customers into the awareness stage of your funnel, and then giving them the information they need to know, understand, and believe so that they trust you enough and want your products enough to be responsive to an invitation to buy. Now, I have a couple of recent podcasts to refer you to here that really might help with this. And the first two that I want to mention are episodes 159 and 162. So these are about really building brand awareness with organic social media and then with paid social media. So you'll find those episodes at catherinelangman.com/episode 159, so 159, or episode 162. Next, you need to work out what the cause of the sales slump is. So last week, both my boys had to contend with the weather because, believe it or not, here in Australia, we hold national swimming championships in an outdoor pool. And of course, that was completely open to the weather. Now, why on earth they run an elite comp like that in a location where, it's open to the elements, completely beyond me. And I did not enjoy it because there wasn't even any shade for the grandstands and I'd burn easily. So that was not fun. But anyway, for the swimmers, it was fine if the wind was still or if the wind was behind them and made them go faster. But if it was blowing across the pool or they had to swim into a headwind, it was pretty crappy. It made things really hard. So it's not exactly a fair or equal experience for all the competitors. And really, at the end of the day, a lot of the kids were posting slower times than their personal bests, and of course, feeling disappointed. But how this relates to your business is that you need to evaluate whether the cause of your downturn is within your control or not. So, because at the end of the day, some things are within your control and some things just aren't. And the reality is there's absolutely no point stressing about or trying to fix something that you have no control over. And having a knee-jerk reaction to a downturn that is externally caused and outside of your control won't change the results. It'll just make you more stressed. So how do you figure this out? Now, for starters, you can ask around and you can see if many other businesses are, particularly in your niche, are experiencing the same thing. I wouldn't be going and comparing things to completely different niches because there would be different, sales cycles and demand levels at different times of the year. But, there could be some external factors that are logical reasons why customers just aren't buying from you right now or not buying to the same degree. And an example would be new house builds right now in Australia have slowed down dramatically this year. So anyone who sells products that are, required for new houses are probably also going to see a decline. Another example would be when COVID hit and we had widespread lockdowns and border closures. Obviously, anyone who was selling in the travel industry or related industries like weddings and honeymoons, they were going to experience a downturn that was really not of their own making. Or another example might be, if there's a sudden platform outage, like your email platform goes down or the ad platforms go down. Occasionally this happens. This will impact your ability to get traffic or to convert sales. not your fault, and you can't control that. So things that are within your control might relate to things like how you operate, or the content that you produce, or the marketing promotions, or the product launches, things like that you might implement, or the products that you make or source. In a swimming race, in an outdoor pool, obviously the weather can't be controlled, and nor can they actually control which lane they were swimming in, and that the lane choice, or the lane that you're in, can actually improve or decrease your chances of swimming really fast. But anyway, within their control were things like training before the meet, maintaining energy and good nutrition and sleep. That's a good one for business owners as well. Planning their race strategy with their coach. How well they executed their skills, like their dives, their underwaters, their turns, their stroke rate, their technique. All of those things impact their speed as well. And, even little preparation things like shaving down. That's fun with a couple of teenage boys, let me tell you. Or wearing the right racing suits, and just, stuff like that. So they were, obviously, being in an outside pool in Queensland, it was really, really sunny. So wearing some mirrored goggles was a benefit. So lots of little things that were within their control. But here's another thing that is really, really imperative. After a race, the most useful thing that they can do is, rather than just have a reaction to the result, is to actually then analyze how it all went by watching the playback and really assessing how well they executed on all of those little pieces of the puzzle. Obviously, once you've done your training block and you've got your race plan, you can't really change those things, but you can actually do some analysis after the event and go, well, did we do the best we could there? Or how could we change our training up, or, the race plans up for next time? And just really making notes of what they should keep, what they should discard, and finding, the opportunities to do better next time. So my guys literally got their mobile phones out, because they're whatever generation that is right now. It's everything's on the phone. But they literally wrote notes. They wrote their analysis out, ready to, while it's fresh in their minds, ready to discuss with their coach when they're all back home. Not enough business owners do this last step. They'll say to me that they post content daily, or they say that they're emailing their list regularly, or, they've done this or they've done that. So what else can they do? Because, things just aren't working. But just because you're doing these things does not mean you can't do them better. But you need to go looking for the opportunities to improve. You really want to be looking at all of your performance metrics on a regular basis. So you want to be looking through, your website. You want to be looking through all of your emails and looking through all of your ads. You want to look at things like, the traffic volume, the click-through rates, the ad, how many people are adding to cart, how many people are checking out, like what's the add to cart rate, the conversion rate, the average order value, the returning customer rate. There's so many different areas that we can look at, and you need to be looking at them on a regular basis, not just as a whole, but at, the individual elements that actually contribute to that result as well. So going through all of the platforms that you're using for your marketing and advertising, as well as your website. And you want to look critically at each part of your marketing and try and draw conclusions or come up with ideas on how you can tweak and optimize and improve each of those metrics over time, right? So for example, I was recently reviewing one of our clients' Facebook ads, because this was an account that, normally she would be getting really, really great results. This is one of our coaching clients, and they just really tapered off. So, we're going through this process of deduction, trying to work out, is it demand? There definitely were some things that were outside of her control that were impacting this result. But then, in particular with the ads, amazing, click-through rate and engagement and stuff like that. Like the audience was there, and they were going to the website, but then they were dropping off on the product pages. So they're not adding to cart. So normally you would expect a certain percentage adding to cart, and that was just quite reduced compared to normal. And so in that case, it's not just the ads that's coming to play here. It's also what's happening on the website. So really looking at those product pages or the landing pages that the ads are going to, making sure there's congruency there, making sure there's nothing technically wrong with the page, making sure the best sellers aren't out of stock, whatever the conclusions or the ideas might be from going through that process of analysis. And you also want to keep analyzing your performance trends over time as well, not just in the moment. So obviously, if your business is brand new, you won't have any historical data to look at. But if you do, then you want to keep looking at those trends over time as well. So one thing to keep an eye out for would be any common times of the year when sales do dip. If you know it's coming, you can be a little bit prepared, and that will help you to not take it personally or not panic when it happens. But it also gives you the opportunity to discover any kind of common triggers for sales slumps. For example, if you run a massive Black Friday sale each year, which many of you would, and then you notice sales are really down for 3 months afterwards, how might you be able to turn that around? You don't just accept it, that that's just how it is. You try and come up with a strategy to improve that. So last year on the podcast, I did a bit of a breakdown analysis of a brand called True Protein, which of course is the protein powder that I buy for my boys to help with their training. And in fact, now that I think about it, I don't recall if it was an end of financial year sale or if it was the Black Friday sale that I was doing the breakdown of. I'd have to go back and have a look, but they don't do very many sales. So it was either one of those two. And afterwards, I remember, it must have been Black Friday, because I remember afterwards that, I remember during that sale, I stocked up. They did a great sale for Black Friday, and, protein powder isn't cheap for the good stuff. So because it was a great deal, I really stocked up. And I could tell, because I'm a marketer, I could tell, well, this could potentially lead to an example or to a situation where customers aren't going to buy for 3 months because they've just stocked up like I did. However, what they did to combat that was they had a whole new product range launching fairly shortly after, and they actually have expanded into another product category. It's activewear. So they have always had some merch like hoodies and socks and towels and stuff like that their customers who are all into sport and gym and training and stuff like that. So that, they were already selling that stuff, but they've gone into this, full activewear product category. So, by actually opening up a whole new opportunity to sell in a different category is an excellent way to combat any kind of drop after a big sale event. Now, another thing that I want to recommend for you here, if you're really unsure of how to identify, where the drop-offs are, where the opportunities are, what are the reasons why people might not be buying that are within your control, I want to recommend that you listen back to episode 167. So you can find that at catherinelangman.com/episode-167 for 167. That one's called something like 5 Reasons Why Customers Aren't Buying From You. So this is going to really help you with some strategies for spotting those areas of improvement. Ultimately, though, at the end of the day, I just really want to advise that all of you approach your business like most elite sports people do, as a process of continuous improvement on your journey to achieving your goals. It's not a success just when you get to the end goal. It's a process of having small successes along the way, and putting a process around planning, implementing, reviewing, and optimizing, because that not only helps you to grow more consistently over time, but it also helps you to approach business a little bit more objectively rather than subjectively. And, so it can take a little bit of the emotion out of it. It can take a little bit of the fear of failure out of it. And, you'll always make better decisions by operating in that way. Now, if you do want some help to work out, the best plans and strategies to achieve your growth goals, or to get that proactive process in place, like I just described, that's certainly something that I can help with, and, help shortcut the time it takes for you to learn and implement. So if you'd like to speed up the processes and, getting results faster, just please reach out to me. There's a variety of ways that I can help depending on the stage of business that you're at. So if you want to find out what that might look like and discover the different ways we could work together, you can head to catherinelangman.com/work-with-me to find out about those options. So I'll put that link and the links to those other podcast episodes that I recommended. I'll put all of those links on the episode show notes page for this episode. That is it for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Hopefully I haven't overindulged chatting about my kiddos today. If you did enjoy it, just would love you to, share this with your business besties or leave us a review over on whichever platform that you listen to the podcast on. For now, though, have a fabulous week, and I will be back with you on the show again next week. Bye for now.